This is Parker Jameson from Starkill.
This is Vicky Sarakis from The Agonist.
This is Tyler from Begat the Nephilim.
This is Dallas from Narcotic Wasteland.
Hey, this is Steve from 200 Stab Wounds, and you're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast. Check it out.
Welcome back, Metalheads, to another episode of the Great Metal Debate Podcast. It's Xander yet again, and I am here with the lead vocalist, Danny Rodriguez, from the band Through the Eyes of the Dead. How are you doing?
I'm doing pleasant. How are you doing?
Awesome-tacular. So my colleague, he sent you guys the email, and apparently the tour hasn't been going very great due to car issues. What exactly happened?
The tour has been awesome. It was just today, the last day. Not to talk your head off about it, but, you know, wake up at 8 a.m., break down at 10 a.m., sit in 100-degree weather for an hour and a half, wonder about your life. And what was crazy was this band that we're on tour with right now, Tracheotomy, the opening band. It's their first tour. They randomly showed up. We don't have any of their numbers or anything. They just randomly showed up. They spotted us. So they were able to take 4 of us, at least to like a gas station to just kind of hang out while the other 2 band members kicked it at the van, because AAA was only able to transport 2 band members. And we get to the gas station. We're trying to figure some shit out. A bunch of mechanics are closed. We're grinding to figure out how we're going to get to this show. Luckily, we're by a truck repair shop, able to, walk across the street, talk to a mechanic who was very fucking cool. His name was Charles, and he said that he can help us off the clock. Shop closes. Charles fucking drives an hour away to pick up a part, comes back with the part, works on the car for 2 hours. We get the part, van's working, sick. Now we got our fucking 4-hour ride. Head straight to the venue. Warforged wraps up, just walk the fuck on stage, and we're able to play our last show. So that was awesome.
Special shout out to Charles the mechanic. Thank you. They would not have been able to have their final show of the tour without you, so thank you for that.
And Tracheotomy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Simon, their vocalist. They passed us by and they all said that if it wasn't for him saying, "Hey, that was Through the Eyes," that would have. They could have easily just passed us by. Another van and trailer on the road,
Yeah, so special shout out to that band too. They were pretty sick. But yeah, that really sucks, dude. I hope that you guys have a safe trip home. And I think I heard Justin say something about driving all the way up to New York.
Yeah, so we all live in different cities. So I'm from Chicago. Justin's from Philadelphia. Mike is from New York. Steve is from North Carolina. And so we have to. I'm lucky because I'm getting a flight out of Nashville tomorrow to Chicago. I feel for these guys because they got to drive all the way the fuck up to New York to drop Mike off all his gear, and then have that drive back to North Carolina. So, and then they're dropping off Justin in New York, who's then driving to New Jersey. It's just a motherfucker, man. It
sounds like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
On the Metal Archives, it said that you guys started in South Carolina, but I guess when you guys must have moved, and then
Justin
with the lineup changes, you know.
Justin moved from South Carolina to Philadelphia, probably I'm gonna say 10 years ago. That's probably not accurate, but band originated in South Carolina. Obviously, a lot of member changes have happened since. But yes, the inception was South Carolina.
Speaking of the lineup changes, how long have you personally been in the band? I mean, I know that your first album with these guys was
Skepsis.
Skepsis, yeah.
Since 2009, straight out of high school. I'm pretty stoked about that. 2009, so 14 years.
How did they find you after Nate's departure?
I found them, power of MySpace. It was pretty funny. At the time, I tried out for the Faceless, and I didn't have access to like much, like, you know, I was out of high school. I was 18 years old, and it's not like I had money to go to a studio and do something proper for the Faceless. So my tryout for the Faceless was pretty raw and not well accepted. I was pretty bummed about that at the time, and ironically, my buddy's like, "Don't be bummed. Through the Eyes of the Dead needs a vocalist, and you know your lows are pretty good. You remind me of Nate Johnson. Try out for them." So I tried out I reached out to them on MySpace, and I tried out for them 3 times. It was like a battle between me and 2 other guys, and I was basically sweating on their decision for 2 weeks. They ultimately decided to go with another guy, and I was fucking crushed. It's like, fuck, that was like my golden ticket. And then randomly, I'm hanging out with my 2 best friends in a backyard, just drinking on a random summer day in Chicago, and Jake, the bassist, hits me up on AOL Instant Messenger for you grandfathers out there.
I remember that.
And he tells me, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "Hanging out." He's like, "Can I call you?" Calls me. Says, "Hey, can you be here in Virginia tomorrow to try out?" I said, "Absolutely." I had to pay for a $500 ticket literally last second. That was all that I had in my savings because I'm 18 years old, and $500 is a lot for an 18-year-old. And flew out, tried out. They liked it. We went and we had a little band bonding moment. We saw fucking Journey at the Virginia Amphitheater later on that night. I got fucked up, did some funny stuff. I think the band appreciated the funny things I did, and history ever since.
So what can you tell me about your previous bands, like Between Man and Machine and Organi and...
Between Man and Machine was a high school band. We wanted to sound like Through the Eyes of the Dead, Black Dahlia, and Behemoth combined. This is 16-year-olds deciding this. And we used to cover a lot of Dahlia. We used to cover a lot of Through the Eyes. Every day after school, we would go to our friend's house, JP, and practice. And I shit you not, we would play Unhallowed by Black Dahlia front to back, like every other day after school. So we felt like we were a little advanced, and you know, shit fell apart with that band, and then half the members of that band joined Joni, which was a band that I kind of started, and we wanted to mimic Beneath the Massacre. We were 18, like 17, 18-year-old around this time, and just trying to, you know, do some technical death metal stuff, trying to be like what Decapitated did when they were 16, just put out some eyebrow raising music as young kids, you know. And so we did that for a while, and you know, Joni sort of but just my passion for screaming kind of led me to you know, reaching out to Through the Eyes, and you know, they picked me up.
We gotta take this picture.
They picked me up, and you know, I was able to join this band just off of you know, I guess.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break because apparently you're needed on stage real quick.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back. So you've told me about Between Man and the Machine and Johnny. What can you tell me about Roman Ring?
Roman Ring was initially a band called Small Town Murder that was from Chicago that was signed to Media Scare Records. I don't know if anybody is familiar with that. I forget what exact bands they had on that record label back in the day, but I really looked up to those guys. They were slightly older than us or Joni, and it was a local band. It was my favorite local band from Chicago. 5-6 years down the line, they lost their vocalist. I was actually on tour with Through the Eyes doing our Skepsis run when they asked me if I was interested to sing for them, which I 100% fucking was. So joined them, and just a band that, you know, tries to. We all have good musical taste, and I'm pretty proud of the material that we put together. We have a full length called Babel. It's out there on Bandcamp and YouTube, and also an album that we released around the time COVID hit, called The Halogen, that I'm very proud of. So that's out there for anybody that's interested to listen to that.
Yeah. I'm sure that you guys probably get this question a lot, but Through the Eyes of the Dead, is that from the Cannibal Corpse song called Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead?
I can't fucking speak officially on that because I joined the band, halfway through their tenure. Justin, I think I asked him this question, and I'm pretty sure the answer is no. But then again, Justin is like one of the biggest Cannibal Corpse fans that I know, so I'm probably wrong on that one.
So I think that a lot of your fans were introduced to your music through your second album titled Malice, myself included, and that one had a very straightforward death metal sound as opposed to Bloodlust. I think that you guys may have tried to stray from the old MySpace deathcore era roots by going to sort of a death metal sound. But where you come in, I feel like you guys have really tied together the best of both worlds with Bloodlust and Malice together with Skepsis and the newest album, which was released in 2017. I guess it wasn't really a question, but it's just something that I noticed. And I also noticed that you guys didn't have a bassist tonight. Did you have any trouble getting here too?
So to just brush on what you just said, that was actually the goal, to combine both for Skepsis and Disomus. I really feel like Skepsis has some really good fucking riffs. We were actually supposed to record that album with Eric Rutan, who did Malice, and Malice is just an incredible sounding album. I feel like if Skepsis had Malice's production, that it probably would have resonated a lot better with everyone, but it's cool to know that people still like that album, like the riffs on that album. I mean, I think that we definitely introduced some progressive stuff into that and whatnot, and also, just really proud of what we did with Disomus, which also we did not see any of each other's faces during the inception of that album. We all live in different states. That was like an internet album, so proud of that one for sure. As far as Jake, Jake decided to leave the band on just a very mutual positive note. He just didn't want to pursue touring anymore. I mean, he had a lot of responsibility in this band, and a lot of, usually when it comes to a pack of 5 people, most of the time, 1 or 2 people really step up and bear the cross, I guess, as far as dealing with all the decision making, responsibility bullshit. He was one of them, and I think he just was kind of done with that, and so we all respect his exit in the band. We decided to just go straight bass tracks on this run, and it's been working out, and I think that we'll probably just decide to go that route in the future. I mean, we've had the luxury of having a really good fucking sound guy on this run, Marshall, who's been absolutely killing it sound wise for us. It's almost like people kind of forget that we don't have a bassist on stage, and it's been working, so we're pretty happy about that.
Going back to talking about Skepsis, one thing that I definitely noticed a lot of is that there's kind of a signature drum sound too. There's a lot of breakdown moments, and I think that you guys' breakdowns are unique in that way because they might only last a couple seconds worth, where you'll get a miniature double bass kick drum part, where that part would be just really highlighted in the song. Like, for example, in Failure in the Flesh, after you say, there's that drum at the part. I was like, oh, that is sick. And then I heard that again on the song Skepsis, and I was like, fuck yeah, except it was longer and it was at the end of the song.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you think that you guys have achieved the sweet spot in musical structure dynamics?
Good fucking question. Yeah, I mean, I think I think the way we utilize it is tasteful, and I think that it's almost like a signature for us, like that kick drum. I think if you take the kick drum out of Through the Eyes of the Dead, it's not Through the Eyes of the Dead.
Hell no. I think that's what gives it the sound, especially the way it's tuned too.
Yeah. So for sure, yeah, I think that is definitely our little trademark, and we keep it going. And Mike is a motherfucking beast when it comes to those feet. I mean, he flies with those feet. It's awesome that we have him and what he's capable of doing.
Probably does the swivel technique, the swivel ankle.
100%. And he didn't do that before, and he just adapted, like he just progressed. And it's awesome. It's awesome when, like, what he was doing originally was already fast. It's like, wow, that's really impressive. And then to just take it to the next level is just awesome to see somebody do. Like, I mean, it's like, okay, well, thanks. I play fast. I think I'm going to play twice as fast now. And he did it. It's really cool.
I know that your old band would play a lot of Black Dahlia Murder covers, but what would you say would be your other influences and what made you want to start doing vocals?
The Red Chord immediately comes to mind. That album, Clients,
yes,
blew my fucking mind.
Play the tarp. That is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's funny is Guy is probably, the vocalist of that band, is probably my biggest influence, at least at that time of my life as a high schooler. And it's funny because he said his biggest influence was, and I don't know why I'm drawing blank right now, but the vocalist of Suffocation.
Frank Mullen.
Frank, yes, Frank.
Well, he's now the previous one. Ricky.
Yeah, right. But he said, Frank was his inspiration, and I remember we did that run with Suffocation, Decrepit Birth, Flesh God Apocalypse, and the Faceless back in 2010. I saw Suffocation every fucking night, and it was just like awesome hearing Frank's menacing vocals. And I thought to myself every night, because I hung out with Frank a few times, and he was really cool with me and all that. I just kind of thought, I hope that Frank fucking saw something in me as a vocalist where, like, hey, this kid's good. And like, I feel like the same way with Guy, like, it's like you have your peers and or not your peers, but, the people that you look up to, and it's like, I hope that, to get like, to get a compliment from somebody that you look up to is like the greatest feeling in the world. So I kind of drifted off on that one, but the Red Chord. The Red Chord is my inspiration.
Yeah, so the band started in 2003, which I know that you weren't in the band yet, but no,
I was a 8th grader.
That makes you guys some of the first people to kind of like popularize deathcore groups at the time. Would you say that your band helped to be pioneers in the subgenre?
I wasn't in the band at the time, but speaking strictly as a fan, yes. And the reason I say that is because around that time, there was a lot of metalcore going around. There was a lot of Unearth, a lot of As I Lay Dying, a lot of Killswitch Engage. Black Dahlia kind of separated themselves from that, just as far as that was like distinctly more death metal. But at that time, those were the bands that people were listening to. Those were the bands that were on the rise in that era, that like 2004 era. And I remember at the time, Unearth, As I Lay Dying, and Black Dahlia were like my favorite fucking bands. And my buddy was like, I got to show you something, and he showed me As I Lay Dying. It's like that. He showed me Through the Eyes of the Dead, and I immediately thought, I was like, dude, this sounds like As I Lay Dying and Black Dahlia put together. This is fucking incredible. And I think that again, going back to like that fast kick drum sound and just breakdowns, melodies, there was something there that stood out. So yes, genre defining. I think I can confidently say that I think that they really did something there in 04 that like wowed people, and Yes. Genre defining, yes. Absolutely.
So, out of all the shows that you have done over the years, what is the craziest thing you've seen on tour?
Craziest thing I've seen on tour. That's a good one because I enjoy my beverages, and the memory is pretty hazy. Craziest thing. This one's kind of weak, but whatever, because it's just the first thing that comes to mind, and it's not even that crazy, dude. But Mike Terry, sorry, dude, I gotta fucking throw you out on this one. He was in Bury Your Dead at the time, and he was enjoying his party favors every night, and one night in the parking lot, he decided to piss in his own mouth for no reason, and it was sick. It was like the coolest thing I've ever seen at the time. And then the next day, he was on Facebook, and he said, "Y'all ever try to piss in your mouth before?" Nah, alright then. And I thought that was pretty fucking funny. I know that's a weak one because there's definitely some crazier shit, dude, but that's for some reason the first one that comes to mind.
So your last record, Disomus, was released all the way back in 2017. That seems like a lifetime ago ever since the pandemic. Have you guys been working on any new material recently?
Yes, we have actually a really good chunk of new material. I really do think that another full length is in the works. With this band, it's like everything seems very spontaneous. It's like I think when Justin feels very inspired and motivated, like the songs just start just flowing. And right now we have like 4 or 5 songs fully written, and they're good, man. And I mean, I think that if we put out an album within the next year or two, I think it quite possibly could be the best one. And I'm not just, I mean, obviously everybody's going to hype up their shit and all that. For some perspective, I will be the first to say that I still think that Malice is this band's best album, and I'm not on that album. So that's just some reference, I think that the stuff that Justin showed me, and just where we are at, like mentally, especially myself, I really think that our next album has potential to be the best one. So, hopefully it happens, and if it does, I think it'll be really well received by our fans.
Okay, so now it's time for some fun questions. If you could own any sports car, which one would it be?
Yeah, dude, just, short answer, Toyota Corolla, because I'm Puerto Rican.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't fully get the joke, but... All right, so... if aliens visit Earth, would they come in peace or destroy us all?
They're going to come in peace for the first 3.5 years, and then the next 3.5 years they're going to destroy us all.
All right, yeah, they're going to realize...
I believe that, man. I think you're right. For real, I think you're right on that one.
Yeah, they're going to be like, hey, let's give humanity a chance, and then realize that, in the great immortal words of Corey Taylor, people equal shit. So,
yeah.
All right.
Shout out to Slipknot. They're up and coming small local band. Everybody thinks they're gonna blow up someday.
Yeah. So what are 3 things that you could buy from a grocery store that would make the cashier give you a weird look?
Horny goat weed, double extra large Magnum condoms. That's a good one. Bud Light.
I thought you were going to say something like a hammer or an axe or something. So some razor blades or whatever. She's going to look at you like, what are you going to do to her, man? And finally, what is the best way for fans to support your music?
To just keep listening to us at your own fucking leisure. And if you really like us that much, then keep coming to our shows. And, we'll keep trying to do our things. I don't think that any member in this band plays a show, just to play a show. I think we play a show when we give all our blood, sweat, and tears. I think it's like a very mutual experience. We give everything we have, and I think that, the crowd responds to that. And we're just very fucking fortunate that we have these die-hard crazy fans that, we can be inactive for 3 years and then just be like, hey, we're going to play shows, and people show up and love it. And it's very humbling, and I truly do love our fucking fans.
Oh yeah. I want to thank you for taking the time to give me this interview.
Absolutely.